Hello, I'm Sebastian. Welcome to 9 Trees podcast. Today, I will summarize and review the book. The House of Dimon by Patricia Crisafulli examines the career arc of Jamie Dimon and the rise of JP Chase into a defining institution of modern finance. Written in the shadow of the 2008 financial crisis, the book places Dimon's leadership under a bright light, tracing how a driven, detail-oriented executive moved from early training under Sandy Weill to the top seat at one of the world's most powerful banks. Crisafulli frames the story as both biography and corporate case study, using widely reported events and industry context to explore how Dimon built credibility with investors, managed risk relative to peers, and navigated the politics of large financial organizations. The narrative also introduces the ecosystem around him, including board dynamics, regulators, competitors, and the internal culture that shapes decision-making at scale. For readers interested in business leadership, banking strategy, and the human factors behind institutional power, the book offers a focused look at ambition, execution, and the trade-offs of running a systemically important bank. I will give you key takeaways from this book. Firstly, formative years and the making of a disciplined operator. A central theme is how Dimon's early career formed the operating habits that later defined his reputation: intense preparation, rapid analysis, and a bias for measurable results. The book tracks his progression from analytical roles into senior management, emphasizing the value of apprenticeship in high-stakes environments. In this framing, Dimon's time in the orbit of Sandy Weill functions as a practical MBA in deal-making, cost control, and organizational politics. Crisafulli highlights the way large financial firms reward executives who can translate strategy into execution, meaning not just big ideas, but budgets, staffing, metrics, and accountability. The narrative connects these formative experiences to a leadership style that prizes clarity and directness, especially in crises. Readers see how an operator's mindset is built through exposure to complex institutions, where errors are costly and speed matters. This topic also points to a broader lesson. Leadership in finance is not only about market insight, but about process and governance. Dimon's rise illustrates how credibility is accumulated through repeated delivery, and how consistency under pressure can become a personal brand that influences investors, employees, and counterparties. Secondly, building and leading at scale inside modern megabanks, the book treats JP Chase not merely as a backdrop, but as a complex machine that must be aligned across businesses such as consumer banking, corporate lending, capital markets, and asset management. Crisafulli explores how leadership at this scale involves setting priorities, allocating capital, and ensuring that separate divisions act like one enterprise rather than competing fiefdoms. This topic emphasizes managerial architecture, reporting lines, incentives, and the cultural signals that determine whether risk is escalated or hidden. Dimon is portrayed as a leader who demands granular information while also communicating a coherent narrative to external stakeholders. The discussion implicitly shows why megabanks are difficult to run. They are regulatory-heavy, operationally intricate, and deeply exposed to confidence cycles. The book also points to how reputations are constructed through consistent messaging and visible engagement with markets and media. For readers, the takeaway is a practical view of executive leadership as systems design. Success depends on building teams that can execute, creating internal transparency, and maintaining a stable center of decision-making when volatility tests the institution's unity and resilience. Thirdly, risk culture, crisis posture, and the 2008 proving ground. A key portion of the story sits around the global financial crisis, when bank balance sheets, funding models, and public trust were all under severe stress. Crisafulli uses the period to explore what risk management looks like beyond slogans, liquidity discipline, underwriting standards, and a willingness to challenge assumptions during booms. The book presents Dimon's standing during the crisis as connected to a comparatively steadier posture than many peers, and to an ability to communicate confidence while acknowledging uncertainty. It also highlights how crisis leadership blends technical competence with emotional control, because markets react to signals, not just numbers. This topic extends to the role of regulators and the public, showing how systemically important banks must navigate both financial survival and legitimacy. Readers learn that crisis performance is often the result of decisions made years earlier, including how aggressively a firm pursues growth and how it defines acceptable risk. The narrative underscores that resilience is operational, cultural, and reputational at once, and that a bank's fate in turmoil can hinge on preparation, transparency, and swift executive decision-making. Fourthly, strategic deals and consolidation in a changing financial landscape. Crisafulli situates Dimon's ascent within an era of consolidation, when banks expanded through mergers and acquisitions to gain scale, diversify revenue, and capture market share. The The book examines how deal strategy can transform an institution, but also how integration risk can destroy value if culture, systems, and incentives are not aligned. Within this topic, readers see the competitive logic that drives acquisitions, access to deposits, distribution, talent, and capabilities that would be costly to build organically. The book also emphasizes that big deals are as much about timing and confidence as they are about spreadsheets. During periods of stress, stronger firms can act when others cannot, but doing so invites scrutiny and demands careful execution. This discussion helps readers understand the chessboard of banking, where competitors, regulators, and investors all shape what is feasible. The broader lesson is that strategy in finance often expresses itself through portfolio design, choosing which businesses to own, which risks to avoid, and how to position the firm for shifting market regimes. Deals are portrayed as leadership tests that reveal priorities, discipline, and long-term intent. Lastly, public persona, stakeholder management, and power in finance. Beyond internal management, the book explores how Dimon's influence is amplified through external relationships and public credibility. Leading a major bank requires constant engagement with investors, policymakers, regulators, and the media, each with different expectations and leverage. Crisafulli shows how a CEO's communication style can become a strategic asset, shaping market confidence and framing the institution's role in the broader economy. This topic also covers the tension between profitability and public responsibility, especially after a crisis when banking faces heightened skepticism. The narrative suggests that power in finance is partly reputational. Stakeholders grant room to operate when they believe leadership is competent and candid. At the same time, visibility increases accountability, and missteps can quickly become political. Readers gain a grounded view of executive influence as a blend of performance and narrative control. The book invites reflection on how leaders balance shareholder returns with systemic stability and how personal brand intersects with corporate identity. Ultimately, this topic illustrates that the modern financial CEO is not only a manager of assets and people, but also a manager of trust. In conclusion, this book is best suited for readers who want a practical, narrative-driven look at how leadership functions inside a global bank, including MBA students, early career finance professionals, executives in regulated industries, and general readers curious about the people who shape economic outcomes. It can benefit a reader's life by clarifying how high performers build credibility through operational rigor, preparedness, direct communication, and the ability to stay steady when conditions turn chaotic. The crisis-era context also reinforces the value of risk awareness in any field, reminding readers that resilience is often created by decisions made long before a downturn arrives. Compared to similar business biographies, The House of Dimon stands out by pairing a career story with an accessible map of megabank realities, including consolidation pressures, stakeholder politics, and the public trust dimension of finance. Rather than treating success as pure charisma, it emphasizes systems, discipline, and institutional constraints. If you want a single, readable account that links one prominent executive's rise to the transformation of modern banking, this book offers a worthwhile purchase and a useful lens for understanding leadership under scrutiny. If you would like to support Patricia Crisafulli, you can buy the book through the Amazon link I've provided in the podcast description. After reading the book, please let me know what you think and share your thoughts. See you around.